Tiger fans, welcome to another episode of the official Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club podcast, bringing you all the latest news, updates, and buzz surrounding your mighty JSU Tigers. I am the Corey C. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast to be notified of all future episodes. Apple Podcast users, Spotify video users, rate and review the show. And everyone, go follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. It all helps the cause, which is the I love Jackson State University. All right, and then it's game week. Of course, we have those G-men coming into town from Grambling, the Grambling Tigers. And here to talk about it is a special guest. He is the GSU Sports Radio Network commentator on game day, Mr. Chayel Flowers. Welcome to Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Going well. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, man, we're excited to have you on. We're excited for this game, our home opener. So obviously going to be a lot of excitement in the city of Jackson. And we know Grambling's going to bring it as well. So we're anticipating a big game, a huge showdown that we definitely want to talk about. But just let us know, man, what's the buzz like over there in Grambling as you guys prepare to head to Jacktown?
Well, right now, the buzz is going crazy because, of course, we had a terrible first week. Came off of a huge second week at Northwestern, balled out in Independence Stadium. And then, you know, the score of that Jackson State game gave a lot of the Grambling fans some confidence. So right now, the Grambling fans are feeling like we got a chance to come up in there and pull off the upset.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this team, and it all starts with your first year head coach, none other than Mr. Hugh Jackson, obviously coming over from Tennessee State, team that we just played, right? So we know he's a genius. He's been around the game. He's done it at the highest level. So talk about this team. What is the identity of a Hugh Jackson led team? Because obviously he was previously a coordinator, but now he's the man running the show. They say that teams typically take on the mindset or the mentality of a coach. So what's the identity so far of a Hugh Jackson-led team?
Within 2 games, I can truly say, because that's been something I've been trying to figure out myself. And I guess in the first game, it was hard to figure out because it didn't feel like that was the team that, you know, it didn't seem right about Hugh Jackson coming in their first game that they're just getting blown out in that way. So it was hard to dissect it. But I feel like we're a team that's ready to kill them with kindness, but we have the grit to do what we have to do. Like, they're not out and about just walking around super cocky, like they're ready to beat anybody that's in their path, but they feel like anybody that's in their path, they're truly able to beat. And with that, we were able to truly see that grit after going down 14 points against Northwestern last weekend. And then to score, what was it, 49 unanswered? I mean, you can't really ask for much more out of a team like that. So I feel like this confidence, they're handling themselves more like professionals and less like college students. And that's been something that we've been really, as fans of the team, we're loving to see it. I mean, my brothers, I have a couple fraternity brothers that are playing on the team, and even their mindset in entering the games has been totally different. And I just love it. They're well poised. They're a lot more confident in what they're doing, but they're not exuding it to where it's coming off like
overconfident.
Trying to figure out, yeah.
Definitely. So I know this is your 3rd season covering the team as a game day coordinator. So far, what are some of the biggest differences you've seen with this team and the team from last season that I would imagine you probably say underachieved?
I mean, of course, yes. And what I can say, like, this team, they're clean, man. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but they have a different level of camaraderie amongst themselves. Like, even when they're seeing another brother or just teammate around campus walking around, like, they're instantly able to just say what's up. Then it's not like, oh yeah, I play football with them. More like, that's my brother, I go to war with him. So whatever Hugh Jackson did, like, he brought them together and they're really playing for each other out there.
Definitely. And then you talked about the first game, how it didn't go well and how you responded. Definitely rebounded from an unsatisfying performance versus Arkansas State in week 2 versus Northwestern. So what were some of the differences between that big week 1? I'm sorry, the loss in week 1 versus the big win in week 2?
Well, I feel like the differences were the coaching staff was reiterating to the team multiple times. Like, I would hear it on the sideline, like, okay, now that you guys have shown me you can do it, they wanted more. And so it seems like the difference within the first week to the second week is they just reiterated that, one, the offense works. They just got to run it properly. And on the defensive end, to just continue to go after the ball and not give up. And so within I guess, a week's change, you're just seeing a whole different team out there because they're feeling more confident in the work that they're putting in.
Absolutely. So 47-21 final score, Northwestern State. Some explosive plays, man. I mean, a 60+ yard run, a 80+ yard TD reception, a 70+ yard TD reception, a 55-yard fumble return. I think it was another interception or fumble that was returned down to the 2-yard line. So just talk about the explosiveness of the team and those big plays. I mean, is that something that, especially offensively, is that something that you expect this team to be able to continue to do, or was it just right time and they caught the opposition slipping?
Well, I feel like when Hugh Jackson came in, we instantly, everyone at Grambling was like, okay, we finally got us an offense again. Because, of course, Hugh Jackson is known to be the quarterback guru for the work that he's put in at USC, even before being a head coach at the Browns. So we immediately were expecting that. And I feel like that was the biggest issue within the Arkansas State game, because we're just like, whoa, we didn't even put up points on the board. Like, whoa, there wasn't even over 50 yards passing. Like, what is going on? So what we saw out of Grambling last week against Northwestern, it was like, okay, it's clicking now. And so when you see the big plays from Lyndon Rash, like Lyndon Rash is a guy that we've been needing for the past 2 years, but he was hurt all last season. So to see him back in action, it was a great sight to see. J.R. Waters is an Oregon transfer, so we were instantly expecting the big time plays for him. So to see the 71-yard bomb, like that was what we wanted. Maurice Washington, we've been hearing about him for forever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so to see him, the first time he does it, hurdles over the defender and break for 61 yards, we're like, okay, now it's not a fluke. So now we're just having that confidence as fans to be like, okay, well, yeah, we got this dude. Like, look, they're here now. Look what they're doing on the field. So it was definitely, that was what we were expecting, not the week one. That week 2 performance, that's Grambling offense right there for you.
So you're saying week 2, that's the real Grambling.
That's the real Grambling.
That's the real Grambling. Okay. All right. Good stuff there. The point to 47 points that you scored, and you missed 3 PATs as well. I mean, so you talk about a 50 piece, but that was the most points that Grambling has scored since 2019 versus Texas Southern. Now, I know a couple of offensive coordinators were brought in prior to John Simon. Didn't pan out for various reasons, but just talk about John Simon, what he brings to the table offensively.
Well, John Simon has been somebody who's been a key asset to the change in Grambling culture. And when it comes to our offense as well, we were just talking about it because, of course, Grambling is a small community, and I'm pretty sure it's the same over there at Jackson. And so we having barbershop talking about how John Simon has truly been changing the offense around and how things have been clicking. And it's more like he was learning on the fly from week 1 to week 2, but it's seeming like he got it. And, we did bring in a couple other guys. It was Art Browse as well, who was one of the main contenders to get the position. And, of course, a lot of people were feeling like, well, he should have just stuck with Art Browse. But I completely understand the reasoning. And that's why I am glad with the John Simon move, because to me, John Simon is a Grambling man. Like, he understands the area. He understands the players. He connects with the players on a different level. And you see that, of course, he's their coach, but, they love him. And people love playing for John Simon. And it's showing with the team. I mean, the offense, they go back to him, and you can see how he's even communicating with them throughout the quarters. And it's just a great flow that they have right now.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this quarterback. Obviously, Mr. Quatarius Hawkins, 13 for 23, close to 300 yards. A lot of those were big plays, run after the catch, but 3 touchdowns versus Northwestern. So what does he bring to the table? I know that kind of going into the season that quarterback position seemed kind of unsettled. So has he settled in as a guy who could potentially lead the team for the entire season? And what does he bring to the table?
Me personally, and when talking to the Grambling fans and even some of the people around radio and stuff, Quatarius Hawkins is the guy. And it seems like he will be our starter throughout the rest of this season. We have a young freshman, Julian Calvez, as well, and he's shown a lot of promise. But when you have a man with that much experience, and from what I've been hearing, because he's from Bastrop, Louisiana, and now I'm from Los Angeles, California, so a lot of what goes on in Bastrop and just Louisiana in general, this is still new to me. And so what I've been hearing is that type of play that he showed in week 2 is how he's been playing his whole life, not only just at Jones Community College. And so I saw a couple of the plays that he made at Jones, and it's looking very resemblant to that. He's mobile. He's able to get the ball out, and he's not looking to run instantly. And that's what you need in a quarterback. So to me, I love him, and so does the Grambling fans.
Yeah. Now, so I didn't know you from LA. So we have to talk about it. Coach Hugh Jackson, man, in terms of the recruiting, man, he's going heavy, heavy West Coast. I know you got to be loving it. I mean, are you telling him all the hot spots out there, or he knows where to go and get them?
Man, Hugh Jackson, he knows where to go and get him. The first time I met him, it's funny actually. I can tell you a quick story. I graduated from Crenshaw High. He
Okay. All
went to
right.
my rival high school, Dorsey High. And so that was the initial way of how I introduced myself to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really can't mess with you because you went to the
Mm-hmm.
rival high school and stuff like that. And so I tell him about what school I went to, and he brings up his D line coach, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, he usually knows the Los Angeles area pretty well. Tell him
Mm-hmm.
what school you went to again." So I tell him I went to Crenshaw. Within 2 minutes, the dude has every bit of my stats. So, hey, I don't know what he has out there, but they're definitely well tapped in with the Los Angeles area, and it shows with some of the freshmen that we brought in. When we brought in Tyson Bordeaux, the
Yeah,
receiver from
definitely.
Long
Big,
Beach
big
Poly,
time. Big
and
time.
Floyd Chalk, the monster from Alamany. So it's like two Southern California guys that are really willing and ready to play. Excuse me. And I mean, it shows when you see the play time that they're getting right now. So yeah, I don't have to give him anything. He probably has to give me some tips on what I
Mm-hmm.
got to do out there in LA.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, back to your quarterback. He's been spreading the ball around to a few wide receivers. So talk about that wide receiver room. It looks like he's spreading it around to a number of different guys. Is there one guy who stands out who could be that big guy, 1,000-yard receiver, or is it really just spreading the wealth, spreading the ball around?
Well, I feel like when I spoke about Lyndon Rash earlier, to me he is the primary receiver on the team. But we have so much depth, man. It's kind of getting scary. And we have Greg number 9. He's hurt right now, but he was our take the top off guy all of last season. So what a lot of the fans are waiting on is for him to come back because a lot of fans have yet to see Greg and Lyndon play together. We
Mm-hmm.
brought in J.R. Waters as well, and he's been a huge asset to the offense. I mean, he's been that take the top off guy as you see with the 70-yard bomb that he had in the last game. And so I feel like they're going to be able to spread the love, but we have some serious guys in that receiver core.
And it's the same in the backfield. When you look at the box score, you see a number of receivers, catching passes. Not a high volume of passes, but you see, one pass here, two passes there, three passes there. So that's going to keep the defense honest. But the same with that backfield, you talked about Maurice Washington, a name that we've been hearing about as well. Only 5 attempts, but 95 yards. He had 2 touchdowns,
Yes.
19 yards per carry versus Northwestern. But you guys play a lot of running backs. So is that by design? Is the competition just that is the talent pool just that deep, or what's kind of the mindset with that running back room?
Well, according to the running back coach, he considers the running back room the elite fleet. And he says that any and every single one of them are ready and willing to play at any time. And it shows. I mean, we have 2 freshmen that are getting minutes over some of the seniors over a former Bayou Classic MVP and Kellen
Mm,
Elder. And
mm.
so when you look at that, it's
Wow.
like
Yeah.
we have the depth in the backfield and it's showing through and through. I mean, we have the power backs. CJ Russell, we didn't see many carries from him because he was hurt the last season, but a lot of people are forgetting this man ran for 2,000 yards in high school,
Hmm. Hmm.
30 minutes away at Arcadia High. So it's like we have a plethora of running backs, and I'm loving it all. And I feel like that's the game plan to just use them all. I mean, whatever one is good for this time, that's what you do. I mean, you see, we let Maurice run free, and then all right, reel it in real quick, like
Yeah. Hmm.
So I'm loving the depth that we have in the backfield, and I feel like that's the exact game plan that we're using.
So what kind of versatility do you have back there? Do you have a little bit of the power, the finesse? Do you have some different things you can different guys you can put out there for the specific scenarios and situations?
I definitely feel like that's exactly what it is because when you look at a running back like Keelan Elder or even Floyd Chalk, those are 2 strong power backs. I mean, the every down backs that you want to give the ball to, or even Keelan Elder on the goal line, that's what you would love to see that. And then when you have CJ Russell, I mean, that man, he's been great catching passes. He had 200 yards in the Bayou Classic last year. So
Hmm.
he's been a very good back every down. And then we have well, we call him Lamborghini Williams, but his name is actually said. And he's a young freshman from BR, and he's been a monster within the last 2 games that we saw. He actually owes me a touchdown. I told him because he broke
Wow.
for it was like a 73-yard run, and he got hawked. And I'm telling him,
Oh
like, man,
well.
you a freshman, you got to, it's your first
Yeah.
touchdown. You already had one, but you could have had 2. Like, it's just about that hunger. And then Yeah, I love every running back that we have because I just named all of them, and I still haven't named my favorite, which is Maurice. And that dude is a monster. I mean, he's considered to be an every down back, but you can even throw him in the
Yeah,
slot. You can do whatever you want with him. And just once the ball is in his hands, it's dangerous. And it's really like that with every back, and that's what I love to see.
definitely, definitely. And moving over to the defensive side of the ball, obviously a new defensive coordinator, Mr. Cedric Thornton. I would imagine the team is feeling a little bit better after week one, only giving up, in week two, only giving up 21 points. So I'm sure the confidence is high heading into the Jackson State game. So talk about what Coach Thornton has brought to the defensive unit.
Well, of course, Coach Thornton has been well experienced within the SWAC, coming from Alcorn, and I mean the work that he's been putting in is showing through and through. One thing that used to really bother a lot of not only the fans but even like some of the people in radio was how you would see a lot of the change in the cornerback throughout the game or even throughout the same drive. That was a huge frustration because we're just like, what's going on with Grambling defense? Like, if you have a cornerback, let that man play the rest of the drive and do what he has to do. And so Coach Thornton and of course Saeed Lee being our cornerback coach, allowing that to happen, it's been a huge change. And even talking to some of my brothers who play corner, they feel like the level of confidence that they have out there has been, I mean, tenfold. Like when you have a corner, when you have a coach who's taking you out after one bad play, it
Hmm.
doesn't really make you feel like you can just go back and get another one. Like it's
Hmm.
hard to get it because it's just about making you remember it. They're taking you out the game to make you watch what happened. And so Coach Thornton allowing his players to be themselves, one, and just even trusting in freshmen as well to get in the game and do what they have to do. Like last week when we had KT, Kevin Thomas, the young number 47 in the game, he caught him an interception early because he feels like he's experienced already out there. And it's because Coach Thornton is instilling that confidence within those players. I mean, I could go on and on about the defense. I love the defense right now, man. They're going crazy.
Now you're talking about those young guys, but you have some proven vets back there as well who, coming in with all SWAC honors. Sunday out of Anderson,
Sunday
defensive
Ada
line,
Anderson.
yeah, first team. Blake Thomas, linebacker, second team. Quincy Mitchell, DB, second team. So definitely some experience back there. So talk about, in addition to the youngsters, talk about the experience that they bring to the table. And then also any other names that you expect to emerge. So by the end of the season, when we're talking about the season accolades, not the preseason. We're talking about the postseason accolades. Some names that we can be looking out for to make a push to make some all SWAC teams.
Well, I'll just go with the names to look out for off the rip. I feel like Ryan Fields has shown a huge progression within his play from last year till now. He's a cornerback, number 21. And one thing about him, he's always had the size ever since coming in. Started as a red shirt freshman, and it just took that experience over time to just continue to develop. And I mean, now he's making big time plays out there, huge pass breakups, and I truly feel like he's one to watch out for. He had a huge hit actually in the Jackson State game that made ESPN. Not sure if you remember it or not, but he was a big time player, and as well as Marquise Britton. They moved him from primarily playing outside corner. He's been playing more nickel play this year, and it's been showing as he was more undersized, they would say. And now going against those slot receivers, he's been making some huge plays. But when we speak about the experience and the veterans like Sunday Anderson or even Joshua Reed and Blake Thomas, I mean, it's just incredible because you see how everyone on the team is following afterwards. Because when you have someone like Sonny, and Sonny is my little brother. He's my
Okay.
Neo, actually. I'm a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated,
Okay.
Spring 20 initiate.
All
He's
right. All
one of the
right.
younger bulls that came in fall 21. And so I've been teaching them a lot and just, I converse with him a lot.
Mhm.
And when he made that Reese Senior Bowl watch list, I was just explaining to him, like, this is nowhere near the end. This is nowhere near even the start. Like, you're just now about to get started up because now is when the eyes are on you. No one really knew who you were last year, but people know who you are now. So you're going to get a lot more of those holding calls that you were complaining about last year, stuff like that. And he's been showing poise through it all. I mean, he's had two back-to-back huge games. I'm not really sure if they've been showing that much up on the stat sheet, but when you're watching the game, Sundiata Anderson is always somebody to watch out for, as well as Blake Thomas. I mean, the man, he's had double-digit tackles, I believe, in both games already. So he's been playing out of his body. Joshua Reed was the one who returned the fumble for a touchdown in the last game, and just seeing that leadership amongst them on the sideline is where it's showing. Because after a bad play happens, those are the guys that you'll see picking up the defense. Keep your head up. We got to go out there again. keep your head up. It doesn't matter what happened in the last play. It doesn't matter if they're holding you. Keep going hard. And when you see the linemen, the linebackers, and the corners, I mean, that's the defense right there, secondary, linebackers, defensive line, and they're all carrying everybody through. It just shows well, and it carries out, and you're seeing it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier the 3 block PATs. So, is that a concern? It's special teams as a whole, but starting with the PATs, with that, what was going on there for those who didn't see? It was just a snafu? Was it miscommunication? Is that something? And I'm as a Jackson State fan, we've been struggling with that for the past couple seasons, right? So we know how it feels. So, is that just something that just happened that day, and you're not going to be concerned with, or is that an area of concern?
I'm going to charge it to that just being something of that day. Because one thing that we have a well-experienced kicker in Garrett Irvin. I mean, I love the dude. Garrett Irvin, he's really poised, and he's been helping out the special teams unit. And with the new long snapper in, I feel like it was just a couple little tweaks that was going on. But in all honesty, it shouldn't be much of that for the rest of the season. It shouldn't be any of that at all. So the special teams will be all right.
Definitely. So the team was picked to finish 4th in the West. So how do you feel the team looked at that? Was that about right? Did they look at that as disrespect? Did that motivate them? Just what's the mindset behind where they were picked to finish and where they expect to finish?
As soon as that ranking came out, I called my brothers and I'm like, so what y'all gonna do? And it was very clear that was motivation. And of course, for the Grambling fans, we looked at it as like, hopefully that's the eye opener to the team. And after what they showed last week, it feels like it was, because Grambling is always known, like we know what the word Grambling has done in the SWAC. And so when I came to Grambling, that was part of the reason why I came to Grambling, because I heard of the prestige that they had in football. Because I didn't know anything else about Grambling other than Eddie G and the Grambling Tigers when it came to football, Doug Williams, and the work that that era put in. And so watching, and then I was fresh off of Fives winning the national championship. So all I knew was prominence in football. And that's all a lot of the Grambling area knows is prominence in football. So to see them they felt like they were snubbed and they felt disrespected. And I feel like that's why I spoke about the kill 'em with kindness part, because Hugh Jackson's not out here just openly saying, oh, they were doubting us, stuff like that. No, we're just going to show you. And that's been their mindset. We're just going to show you when it's all said and done and the end rankings are what they are, it won't be 4th. And that's been the mindset, and I'm loving it.
Absolutely. So, this team, the Grambling team, we talked about the big win coming in with a lot of confidence. The team has had a lot of success at the vet in Jackson over the years. I'm not going to get into it because I don't even want to bring it back to my memory, but Grambling has done some things in Jackson over the past few years. And of course, the game was not played last season, but we all remember what happened in that spring game the last time these two teams met. So what do you expect as a person who's seen Grambling? Not sure how much of Jackson State you've seen, but I'm sure you've heard and saw what we did in week 1. Had a setback in week 2, but obviously with a team that can put a lot of points on the board, stout defense. So what are your expectations for this game?
I'm expecting, honestly, this to be I'm not sure what the word is, the preface for the SWAC championship.
Okay.
I honestly feel like that's what it's going to be. I don't feel like this is going to be the first time that Grambling and Jackson, or the only time that Grambling and Jackson played this season, because it's like, Jackson State is a great team. No one over here at Grambling is denying that, belittling that, anything of that nature. But we just feel like we're a great team too. And so with that, when you put two great teams together, all that leads to is great football. And that's what everyone is coming out to see. I feel like it's going to be a great game. People are trying to make bets talking about there's going to be a blowout over by 21, stuff like that. I'm sorry. I don't feel like this game is going to be out of a 14-point range, honestly, because we're two strong teams, two prideful teams with a lot of tradition, and we're both known for our defenses. We're both known for our fan bases. We're both known for just our band and everything. So when you put 2 and 2 together, I mean, iron only sharpens iron. And with that, I don't see there being a way that this isn't one of the greatest games that the SWAC has had within the past 5 years.
Definitely. It has the potential to be, especially with it being our home opener, big crowd, capacity crowd. The Jackson State fans are going to show up. So what about the Grambling fans? Are they going to get on the road and come and help us pack the vet? What can we expect?
Oh, definitely. I got fans calling me from all across Texas talking about they're staying at my house to spend the night so they can get a get a hit on the road early to make sure that they're in Jackson, because of course we all know if you try to leave on time, you're late.
That's right.
So yeah, so it's one of those type of scenarios for sure. The Grand fam will be making their way to Jackson, Mississippi, regardless if we got to do whatever we got to do. Trust me, we're going to be there.
All right, can't wait. Looking forward to it. 1 p.m. kickoff, early kickoff. So get there early. ESPN3, all eyes will be on this game. You know, it's one thing that Coach Prime has helped just bring more attention. More games are being televised. So these young men will have an opportunity for a lot of eyes to, a lot of people to see him and get that attention for, NFL scouts, things like that. So a huge game. I appreciate it. Safe travels and look forward to the game and look forward to connecting with you more in the future.
I appreciate you, man. See you soon.
You bet. And that'll do it for another episode of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Thank you to all of our listeners. And again, be sure to download and subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcast users, Spotify video users, rate and review the show. And everyone, go follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. We're looking to do some big things with this platform to aid the athletics department. And it all starts with you downloading, subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show. And tell every Tiger that you know. We're on all podcast outlets, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Video, YouTube, and so on. And we'll be posting each episode on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. As always, thanks for your support. Go Tigers. Hashtag I believe. Hashtag pack the vet. Hashtag the I love.